World Combat Sports. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in once again. You know what it is. I have to give you the post-fight recap. UFC 249 went down yesterday in Jacksonville, Florida. And I have to show it love. Just give me a minute. I want to give a shout out to all the mothers. Special day as every day. The nurturers and bearers, you know how it goes. I want to salute you. I want to wish every mother out there a glorious day. Hopefully it's all about you and you're able to enjoy it. Now, I know when it comes down to it, not everybody's connected to their mother like they should be on a day like today. But this is what's designated in simulation that Mother's Day has fell on the 10th of May. So only thing I can say is I'm wishing everybody a peaceful, loving, and a time to pretty much embrace and let your mother know she's appreciated. And this is one of those days where the stove is actually active, you know what I'm saying? Just like it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, they actually go all out for Mother's Day. So it works out for the better. You know what I'm saying? People get drunk, everything start off cordial. People start drinking, smoking. And then what turned out, so innocent, it just transforms and morphs into something much more different. And the people that was nice, who may not had a decent relationship with moms, they tried their best to walk through the door and present otherwise. And then once the damn alcohol got involved in the smoking and everything, it just came back all full circle. People started fighting again, cussing each other out. Tell about you ain't shit, never been shit, won't be shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just the crazy part of, how these holidays or these special day of recognitions work out sometimes. It's according to where you're from, though. Real talk. I mean, some of you all didn't have to experience something like this. You have the setting. Everything is just, the decor is just amazing. The spread, a 15-course spread, 8 different wines, 3 different types of Kool-Aid, 2 different types of sweet tea. And before the main entree, you have hors d'oeuvres that are served, possibly shrimp, stuffed mushrooms, and all that good stuff, And then once the main entree is served, everybody hold hands, kumbaya, and sing a prayer, together, and commence the eating. You know what I'm saying? It goes down, and then you have some Beethoven playing in the background. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the cellos, flutes, orchestra. You know what I'm saying? No hip hop, R&B, not even a bass in the beat. You know what I'm saying? No words, just harmonizing. Cheese and crackers. But anyway, hopefully everyone enjoyed today, because when Father's Day come around, it's just like a goddamn clearance sale during the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? You're hoping for something more, but you're just not gonna get it. You asking, are you gonna restock the shelves? But that's just the way it is. Every time Father's Days come around, we get the shaft, man. We don't get the treatment, the A1 treatment, like the Mother's Day. Your kids might walk up to you and say, "Daddy, hey, I bought you something with your credit card that mom gave me. I hope you enjoy it. So baby, what you we were talking about daughter, right? So what you got, daddy? Oh, well, we purchased you some tube socks, and I picked up 2 dresses. Then you have the son tell you, oh yeah, I got you some t-shirts, dad. Yeah. But I needed some tennis shoes too, so I went ahead and picked up me the MJs. Hope you ain't mad. It's Father's Day. I know you ain't gonna argue on Father's Day, so hopefully everything work out for you. I appreciate the shoes though, but enjoy those t-shirts. They cool and everything. 100% cotton. I just thought you need them since you leave out every morning bright and early, busting your ass to provide for the family. So we wanted to make sure you was warm and comfy. But salute, man. What's going on, Baxter? What's good, Seneca J? Just a little intro, just to lighten the mood a little bit. But this is what it's all about. UFC 249 recap went down, people. Let me tell you. As much as I don't want to use the U word, upsets, there was some extravagant finishes, so to speak. There were some finishes that was a bit brutish, you know what I'm saying? Just outside of Mother's Day. And most of the fights on there were matchup on the male side of mixed martial arts. There was one female fight at between Carla Esparza and Michelle Waterson. And strawweight as it may, it pretty much turned out the way I thought it would be. So we're gonna skip through the prelims without too much elaboration on that. Ryan Spanner and Sam Alvey fought, man, and I'm telling you, I was just so disinterested in the fight. It was extremely boring. That's why it was the first fight on the card, man. I'm not sure if they had a full camp at all. They might have been, in semi decent shape. But those two fighters, if they're going to do any damage in the light heavyweight division, they're gonna have to pick it up, man. Seriously, they don't have to pick it up, especially Ryan Spann, man. It's a lot. It's a lot riding on this dude, and he just didn't do anything to me, in my opinion, to make Sam Alvey respect him. You know what I'm saying? He should have did a lot more to make Sam Alvey respect him, but in the process, he ended up getting hurt. I was totally surprised that he got hurt. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was surprised that as big as Ryan Spann is, and he looked the more aesthetically fit out of the two fighters. That just goes to show you in mixed martial arts, somewhat like jiu-jitsu, it doesn't always go down the way you think it's going to be just off appearance. But Sam Alvey was able to hurt him. And I was like, damn. Is it fatigue? Is it, not being in the gym? What was it? Because it didn't seem like Sam Alvey punches, being that they was wide, being deflected off the defense of Ryan Spann. I didn't think they was doing that much damage, to be honest. But Ryan Spann ended up pulling out the win. You know what I'm saying? So he keeps his hopes and dreams alive. That's the only thing I can say about that. So next on the card, let me switch this out right quick so I can give you a bit of reference to the thumbnail I had up yesterday. So I'm gonna wait till that pop over there to the YouTube live stream. So the next one was Bryce Mitchell and Charles Rosa. All right. I had to get on and talk about this fight between Bryce Mitchell and Charles Rosa. In all honesty, right? It was one of the best fights on the card, to be honest with you, fight fans. The reason why I'm saying that is that it was a beautiful web being spun to this how this ground game, the story played itself out. Very high level jiu-jitsu going on the mat. And it was pretty much what we expected from two jiu-jitsu guys, but we just didn't know that Bryce Mitchell was so freaking dominant on the ground. And not to mention, you have to give credit to Bryce Mitchell. His confidence, he was in there to prove a point. And I'm going to be absolutely clear. It's not too many fights that you would see on the ground for the amount of minutes that Bryce Mitchell was in top position or in a dominant position. It's not too many times you can say, you know what, that fight was very interesting. It was very entertaining to see. Instead of someone, you got casual fans that'll say, I'd rather them stand up and trade. There was a lot of high-level shit going on between both of these guys. Even with Charles Rosa defending and being able to turn into it, continue to present wedges in between certain positions that Bryce Mitchell was putting him in for submissions, and also being able to place himself in a better position even when he was inside a submission. We saw plenty of times he was in an arm and choke, right? Bryce Mitchell was squeezing. Charles Rosa answered the phone. He was basically using his left hand to pretty much dig into the crease of the elbow and pull out to try to create just a little bit of space from that squeeze, cutting off his circulation. And it was several times that Bryce Mitchell was able to, put that choke in pretty tight. I was absolutely surprised on how thorough Charles Rosa was fighting through the storm, because Bryce Mitchell was on his ass like a wrench. A wrench. Everywhere he turned, he was tightening something else down. Like, it was impressive. I'm not going to lie. It was very impressive to watch. Full mount with ease. Even in full mount, Charles Rosa did not take that much damage. You have to respect that. Even him being in a less dominant position in jiu-jitsu, sometimes the less dominant is the dominant. And sometimes the dominant, depending on who you are in there with, rolling with, you can find yourself in a dangerous situation, potentially being subbed or swept or reversed, or whatever you want to call it. That is the game. That's the art of war when it's on the ground, man. It's just a beautiful sport to watch. And Bryce Mitchell proves that his jiu-jitsu game is not to be fucked with. Now, let's talk about something on how he split the crotch between the legs to set up that potential second straight twister, right? The way he isolated Charles Rosa's legs, just say they was on their left side at this time. I'm gonna try to take you through it as much as I possibly can. But of course, Bryce Mitchell has position. He has dominant back control just a bit. So Charles Rosa's in front of him, and he and Bryce Mitchell takes his left leg and threads it through the center of Charles Rosa's legs and pretty much triangled. He takes his left leg and then hook it behind his right leg and triangle, lock it down. You know what I'm saying? Just to stabilize the lower extremity of Charles Rosa. At this time, also simultaneously, what he's already done is he's grabbed the right arm of Charles Rosa, which has to go behind Bryce Mitchell's back or his shoulders, because the whole point of the twister is for Bryce Mitchell to extend Charles Rosa's right arm, put it behind him, in the process of Bryce Mitchell's left hand being ran behind the head of Charles Mitchell and coming back towards him so he can apply a neck crank. So actually, Charles Rosa's body, the two fighters are on their left side facing outward. All right. So we already know the legs are triangle, and Bryce Mitchell has the lower extremities locked in, stabilized. Once he grabs and extends Charles Rosa's right hand and attempts to place it behind him, now he can run his left hand across the back of the head and jawline, bring it back, and try to lock up any type of grip, you know, which suitable for whatever he's practiced, Bryce Mitchell, and try to pull towards him. So while his lower extremity, Charles Rosa's lower extremity, is locked in place, Bryce Mitchell is going to try to neck crank and pull Charles Rosa's head towards him in the most violent manner possible. He's not going to jerk it. He's just going to squeeze while Charles Rosa's right hand is behind Bryce Mitchell. He's actually laying on top of it, and he's going to basically run his left hand across the jawline and pull Charles Rosa's head towards him. So basically, it's twisting his body. And we all know our joints aren't made to turn 180, 360, none of that. So if done correctly, the submission absolutely will hurt. Absolutely. It's going to have some discomfort. It's not going to feel good. And we're talking about, look, we're talking about Bryce Mitchell attempted this at will. And if it wasn't for, I would say, the end of the second round, if it wasn't for the remaining seconds in that fight. Now, that particular submission, they was on the right side. The other submissions, most of the time, which proves Bryce Mitchell is not one-dimensional. The other time he attempted a twister, he was on the left side. Both guys was on the left side. But give it up to Charles Rosa once again for being able to unlock his legs and turn into Bryce Mitchell and try to reverse the submission itself. And a lot of times he was able to release himself out of a dangerous situation. I have to give a salute to that, because Bryce Mitchell was performing that twist on the right or left side. It didn't fucking matter. It didn't matter. But the way he locked it in was so smooth and transparent during the ground fighting. It was a lot that was going on with transitions, hip escapes, wedges, control, everything. For a person like Bryce Mitchell to be fully mounted as much as he was, the riding time that he was on top of Charles Rosa, for him to just do that at will, and then whenever he wanted to try to lock in that arm in choke without hesitation, it was beautiful to watch, man. Dude is a problem. Charles Rosa just has to get in the gym and become stronger, because his jiu-jitsu game proved that it's also validated. Because after all the transitions, after all the attempts, after all the submissions that he was able to attempt and lock in on Charles Rosa, he did not get subbed. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get subbed at all, man. And that's like a two-way. That's like a two-way. You have to split the praise up between these two. Even though Bryce Mitchell was freaking dominant, you have to praise Charles Rosa too for not being subbed out when he was being dominated. It was chaos in that motherfucker. And when you're in the heat of the battle on the ground, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu, from what I've seen, man, that's just not an area where someone would just nod their head and say, you know what, I'd rather be on the ground than on my feet. The way you move around on the ground, it just has a lot to do with certain, certain situations you see, from practicing the sport. A lot of it I don't know, but I'm talking about what knowledge depth I do know about jiu-jitsu. It's the fact that it requires you countless amount of hours of mat time. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot that goes on with spending time with different sparring partners, knowing what you're looking at. And it just has so many levels to the sport. And we was able to see that last night. And it's not something we often get to witness. Two individuals that's highly skilled in BJJ be able to attempt submissions the way they did, transitions, escapes, set up traps for another submission, just keep reapplying, going back and forth tit for tat. And then also Charles Rosa surviving the submissions. First of all, I'm talking about some of those submissions that Rosa was in, he was able to survive them, didn't go to sleep not once. And Mitchell, man, like I said, he was like a wrench, man. He was tightening down the nuts and bolts. No matter how you looked at it, he was just tightening down. Every corner you turn, man, Bryce Mitchell was there. He was so confident. He was like, he stayed in the man's guard. He said, there's nothing he can do with me on the ground, so why stay standing? Time the bell rung, before you know it, he's going in for a single. He has him on his back again. Let's go to work. And when you're talking about a 5-minute round, and you only have 3 rounds, 5 minutes, and you get taken down in the first minute, that's just a trip in itself. It's just too much to think about. If you're not high level, if you're not skilled, if you're not comfortable with being on your back, you haven't spent the amount of time in the gym on the mat, that can be pretty much a state of anxiety for you if you get taken down that early in a fight and you have somebody like Bryce Mitchell on top of you. Dude is ruthless. I'm not going to lie. He's ruthless on the ground, man. And I got to check the box, man, give him a salute and say, appreciate the education. Just say, Scotty, I'm a big Cruz fan, but after last night, I'm a Cejudo fan as well. One was humbling after the win, saying he looks up to Cruz. Well, the moment Cruz is a great athlete. I'm going to get to them, man. I'm going to run through this prelim, some of these prelim cards. Vincent Luque went in there and showed he's a smooth operator. Vincent Luque went in there against Nico Price, who was game, right? First round was a little shaky. Neck and neck. Both of them was landing some solid strikes. And I was saying to myself, okay, this is a more entertaining fight than I thought. And Vincent Luque in the second round, he kind of changed it up a little bit. He shifted gears and he found out what combination he needed to throw to land on Nico Price. And those was combining with his low calf kicks. He set that up nicely with some punches. So he just wasn't being predictable with the low calf kick. He'd go on the inside, outside, and then he'd throw some combinations down the middle. It started to flow in rhythm in the second round. As in Nico Price, though his kicks was unpredictable, they came out of nowhere. It just wasn't that much on him. And plus, Nico Price was able to land some of his punches, but it wasn't as smooth and damaging as Vicente Luque. Luque was much more accurate with his punches, especially them two fighting in a phone booth in the center of the cage, not giving too much space. I mean, the distance was adequate. Each fighter, all they had to do is basically just move just a tad bit, just a nudge forward to land any of their combinations, because neither fighter was very elusive. They wasn't moving their head back and forth. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like it was a defensive masterful display that was going on. They was right there on center in a phone booth, and it wasn't too much to talk about. except who was getting punched in the face first. And Luque started to get his timing down, and he did it amazingly. You know what I'm saying? He kept the rhythm, changed up the speed, and he started landing on freaking Nico. And Nico Price did not do what he should have did in that particular instance, in my opinion. He should have used a little bit more side-to-side movement to set up his combinations and kicks. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to throw a low calf kick, throw it with conviction. You know, just like Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo came out there and started throwing those thigh kicks and low calf kicks with conviction. And they was right on the target. But Nico Price was throwing kicks, and that was just like, okay, let me just go through the motions. It's almost like parrying a jab. You know how some boxers just throw the double jab out there, throw a jab out there? It's just as a distractor for them to throw the power shot. That's sort of what I gathered what Nico Price was doing. He was just throwing the kick just to put it out there so he can set something else up. But Vicente Luque, man, he was throwing his shit with conviction. He was committed to his shots, and they was hurting him. And in the third round, he ended up stopping Nico Price because Nico ended up winning the fight. He wasn't moving his head. He was coming straight forward. He had success in the first round, but he was getting lit up in the second, lit up in the third, and the fight ended up being stopped. You know what I'm saying? The fight ended up being stopped because Nico Price could not see out of his right eye. The same thing we seen with Cowboy Cerrone when his fight was stopped. You know what I'm saying? So salute, man. I'm gonna get to you, Josh. I'm gonna get to you. So the next fight I want to talk about is Fabricio Werdum and Olenek. Though the fight was a bit sloppy to me, they are two big strikers, and Olenek, I have to give it up to him, man. For him to be so big, he was huffing and puffing in the first round. The way he kind of lines up his shots. This is the unique part about his striking. He was battering Fabricio Werdum's forearms a lot in the first round. This man was throwing these wide power thumping shots, and Fabricio, it was easy for him to block him, you know, on his forearm. It was easy for him to block him, right? But this is only my assessment on what I seen. Olenek was throwing these shots as he was closing down on Fabricio. Once inside, enough to clinch, now he starts shooting up the middle. He did it every time. He would throw those wild shots from the outside. Fabricio kind of like tucked his chin, and he's putting his hand up, blocking the shots on the outside. And by the time he realized it, Olenek was inside. Once on the inside, Olenek started throwing those uppercuts, and they was touching home. They was touching the chin of Werdum. Absolutely no doubt about it. Smart, very, very clever. Any which way it takes, you know what I'm saying, to get on the inside. That's what Olenek was doing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it worked for him. You know what I'm saying? It worked for him because once on the inside, he shot that right uppercut over and over and over again, man. And it bounced off the chin, the nose. I mean, it didn't do a lot of damage to Fabricio, but it did enough damage to the point where when they separated, Fabricio, you know, kind of felt Olenek in the clinch. He kind of knew he took a little bit of damage, and now he has to be a little bit more aware of that. But once again, once they closed and got, you know, chest to chest in the clinch, same thing, stuck to the game plan. Olenek was loading up on that right hand. So much to the point where he wasn't even trying to disguise it anymore. Like Olenek got to the point in the second round, I believe, second and third round, where he was leaning to his right, and he was just holding that. He was just holding his left hand, like, you know, it was there. It had everything on it, like it was glowing neon. So, hey, this is what I'm gonna hit you with. And he was just walking in there with that right hand cocked. What they tell you not to do when you're boxing and you're striking. You know, don't be so predictable. And Olenek, he was just walking in there with that right hand cocked on Fabricio. And once he get close, it wasn't too much difference in how he projected, how he decided to throw the punches, man. It really wasn't even anything uniquely different. Once he got in distance, he unleashed it. He pulled the trigger. And Fabricio didn't do too much about it, man. That's the bad thing about it. Like, I've seen him in better fights. I'm not sure how much how much training he had, but I've seen him in better fights, Fabricio. He got outworked yesterday. And I thought he had his moments, but it wasn't enough to really say, you know what, he was in full control of that round, you know? And he attempted, his patented guillotine a couple of times, but it wasn't even close. Like, we're talking about Fabricio, who subbed out Fedor. It wasn't even freaking close. Anyway, moving on. Cowboy Cerrone, man. Cowboy Cerrone is defeated by Anthony Pettis. Now, I want to ask you all that's tuned in on the live chat. Obviously, this was a different fight, right? This was a different fight than we used to seeing with Cowboy Cerrone versus Conor McGregor, right? So I'm saying to myself, I'm like, damn, Cowboy Cerrone, he looks zoned in. You know what I'm saying? It looks like he's a bit more attentive to the task at hand, and he want to go ahead and get this win. And I felt he was doing pretty good. I felt he was landing solid strikes. He was scoring. And I felt that at sometimes Anthony Pettis, he wasn't as dominant as I thought he would be. Like, we didn't see hardly any showboating with Anthony Pettis in this 3-round fight. It may have been because they was friends. They have a common respect for one another. But I didn't see too much going on with showboating and all the acrobatic martial arts kicks that he's used to doing. It would have been nice to see him run off the cage and try to kick Cowboy in the head. They were there, but it just seems like Cowboy Cerrone was a step ahead of Anthony Pettis. Much different than his fight with Conor McGregor. And I just don't understand how he lost. I really thought Cowboy Cerrone defeated Anthony Pettis yesterday. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if he pissed some freaking judges off there. I don't know if it was some judges from Cowboy's hometown and they was mad at, he's supposed to have sold them some livestock or something. But I know for a damn fact, I thought Cowboy Cerrone beat Anthony Pettis last night. I didn't think Anthony Pettis did enough to stay ahead of Cowboy Cerrone doing the striking exchanges. I just didn't see it. But salute to Anthony Pettis for getting another win. You know what I'm saying? Salute to him. I'm not being a hater. I'm just saying salute. You got the win. Cowboy Cerrone takes his 4th or 5th straight loss. And he's gonna have to come back because Dana White is going to look at Cowboy Cerrone like this. He didn't get knocked out, so let's have him back. To the main card, Greg Hardy and Yorgan De Castro. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a lot of in the mirror, doing a lot of shadow posing, movement, fainting. Back and forth, it wasn't too much action in this fight. except I believe in the what? The end of the first round. I mean, the two was throwing in just enough intensity, but outside of the range to do any damage. Like both of them guys was trading heavy ass punches. And I have to give it up to Greg Hardy. He was much faster with his hands than I believe him to be. But the fucked up thing about it is that he kind of reminds me of Yoel Romero a bit. Because once Yoel Romero shows you that shine that he's capable of, like Yoel can shine whenever he chooses to. He can be extremely explosive. But the one little problem that I have with Greg Hardy is the amount of explosiveness that he's able to put out. Like it seems like the man only has 5 seconds. And then he has to go back and catch his breathing. You know, like what is going on with his heart? Do he have a heart condition? Does he have asthma? What is going on? Because when I actually see him explode, dude is lethal. He's entertaining. But the fight last night, it was boring. I'm not gonna lie, it was extremely boring. What's going on, Taurus? What's good? What's good? He didn't get knocked out. He wasn't really in any trouble. He kept his distance well against the Castro, who was game with leg kicks. The Castro was goddamn chopping his leg up like it was a 4th of July barbecue. He had it nice and tender. It was red. You know what I'm saying? It was ready to get thrown on the grill. And the Castro was just tenderizing that lead leg of Greg Hardy. And give it up. For him to be so big, he did what he needed to do. But it's a 3-round fight. So in the first round, he was absolutely successful in doing, and chopping the lead leg. And then turns around and kind of starts to get tired in the second round. And we didn't see too much of the lead leg kicks, even though they was very punishing in the first round. But Greg Hardy got the win, though. Salute to him. On to Jeremy Stephens, Calvin Kattar. Man, we remember goddamn Jose Aldo stopping Jeremy Stephens with a body shot. And the look of, how you put it? What's the word I want to use for Jose Aldo? His celebratory, just emotional at the same time. Jose Aldo's like happy to get back and defeat a high-ranking opponent. He was overjoyed. He stopped Jeremy Stephens with a body shot. So going into this fight, I'm saying to myself, like, he's coming off a loss to Yair Rodriguez, which both of them had beef, didn't like each other, but he ended up getting a win over Jeremy Stephens. So heading into this fight with Calvin Kattar, height for height, they match up real well. Reach, everything, skill set, speed. And I just felt Calvin Kattar, man, came out the gate and established his rhythm early, was able to land on Jeremy Stephens. He collected what he needed to be successful and punctual against Jeremy Stephens, and he started landing those combinations. And he said, okay, now I have the timing down with Jeremy Stephens. If you're looking like, I think the second round, he did throw that hook to the body. It was damn near similar to what Jose Aldo did. Jose Aldo threw that left hook to the body. Kevin Kattar did the same thing. He dug into the goddamn body, didn't get the reaction. Stephens took it pretty good. The fight kept going, they exchanging. But like I said before, Kattar was getting the best of the exchanges. And then he switched it up. And it seemed like he was throwing his right hand. And he ended up turning into an elbow, which cracked the chin of Jeremy Stephens. Well-placed shot, knocked him down. And it was a brutal knockout, man. Like, the way he threw that elbow, that shit was respectful. Consciously extracted. You never thought he was going to throw the elbow the way he was, the way he intended to. It wasn't no damn type of, You know, like, okay, I could tell by his mannerisms, he's about to do this. The way he came out of nowhere and hit Jeremy Stevens with that right elbow. That's what it was in the arena. It was just quiet. It was already no fans there. Like when his goddamn hand, his elbow cracked Jeremy Stevens and Stevens went down. I said, oh shit, Stevens in trouble again. And that was a wrap. He ended up finishing the fight. And it was an impressive stoppage by Cater. And, you know, we look forward to seeing him move up the ranks and fight somebody else up the ladder, man. But that elbow he threw was just silence, man. It was like, shit, again? Jeremy Stevens gets stopped by Jose Aldo. He gets defeated by Yair Rodriguez. And then he comes in here and gets stopped by Calvin Kattar. I don't know what's left for Jeremy Stevens. I don't know what's going on in his life. I don't know. He had some bad luck, man. You know, ever since Conor McGregor say, who the fuck is that guy? Ever since he was trying to say, I hit dudes and they don't get up. And I agree with Jeremy Stevens. He does at one point. But now, I don't know, man. He's on a rough streak right now. Real talk. rough streak. Moving on though. As we all know, Jacare Souza and Uriah Hall was out due to Sosa, who was intermingling with other fighters, and he tested positive for COVID-19. They pulled the fight, but you know, you have to commend the UFC for doing their due diligence and being able to get the test results back and only have one fighter, okay, test positive. Without, you know, outside of that, everything else was great. Everything else was great, y'all. A lot of people is up here dogging the UFC for one freaking positive COVID test. Man, get out of here with that shit. That's just one freaking fighter. Stop whining. It's one fighter. Unfortunately, it was Jacare Souza, but it was one freaking fighter. You know what I'm saying? What else do you want? Shit. Stop being petty, man. Since it was on the card, I have to talk about it, right, people? And that is Michelle Waterson facing Carla Esparza. Man, oh man, oh man. This is just not something I wanted to see in the women's fight. Because being that it wasn't more than one fight on the card, UFC 249, you know, one of the biggest cards, PPV, they put one women's fight on the card since Amanda Nunes fell through. She's not going to fight during COVID. And then Thug Rose Namajunas had, I believe, family members to drop out. She was supposed to rematch Jessica Andrade, which would have been a damn look. I know Thug Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade would have been absolutely more exciting than Esparza versus Waterson, hands down. Now, those two coming out, keeping social distancing. What the fuck? Like, goddamn, man. That shit applies outside the cage when you're freaking, you know, out and about socializing. You take all the necessary precautions. But goddamn it, you're in the cage. These two were social distancing and turned into a fight. The only fight during the pandemic I've seen this shit happen. Even if they wanted to throw a combination, it didn't fucking matter because they was too far out of range to do anything. At one point in time, Esparza, when she did change levels for a takedown, both of her arms was extended as she just basically ran into, you know, reached out to direct her attention at the hips of Michelle Waterson. What they tell you not to do when you shoot in for a takedown. And she's a much better wrestler than that. But I just don't understand what was going on between them two. It was the only female fight on the card, and it disappointed big time. Give it up for Carla Esparza for winning. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, you know, her being able to get in close once to get a takedown. She was able to land some punches because she was blitzing. But really, Michelle Waterson lost it for herself because she was just running backwards. You know what I'm saying? She was just backpedaling. She didn't really want to engage. I don't know what the hell was going on with Waterson because I've seen her in much more better fights than that. So to see her just backpedal away, retreat when Esparza was coming forward, just winging punches. She didn't really want to win the fight. It's a good paycheck for her, you know, last minute replacement, whatever. Call it what you may. It was what it was. Next, moving on, Francis Ngannou and your Dino Rosenstruck. A lot of people are talking about this fight. And I guess me sitting back looking at it like I'm not really impressed with Francis Ngannou and what he was able to do, but he got it done. You know what I'm saying? The reason why he got it done because Rosenstruck, once he was subjected to the line of fire, he stayed there. He didn't run left or right. He didn't goddamn elude. What was his defense shit? It don't matter if you're in the heavyweight division. You're able to move left or right. It's some heavyweights that's able to do it. But all Francis Ngannou did was blitz. He rushed. Omaha, 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 hut, hut, hut. I mean, goddamn. Did you see the amount of punches that Francis missed as he did close down on Rosenstruck? And then he ended up clipping him with a left hook, right? Boom. Touched him. Rosenstruck dropped. And then once he was seated, I think Ngannou landed maybe 2 good solid punches and then a light third once the fight was being stopped. But it wasn't a brutal knockout, y'all. I mean, come on, man. Y'all be beasting these motherfuckers, dog. Like, it wasn't that type of knockout. I wasn't impressed with what Ngannou was able to do. All he did was provide an area of threat at the right time, which he was supposed to. And, you know, to some fighters, he is intimidating. Rosenstruck might have been a little intimidated being in front of Ngannou. You know what I'm saying? He might have been a little bit intimidated with the height differential. It might have been a little bit going on here and there. But when he blitzed, he just came forward. Rosenstruck bagged when he backtracked and stayed online. He didn't provide any type of distraction. He didn't let Ngannou know that he had 2 feet, 2 legs, and he was able to run out of there like John Jones did against Dominic Reyes or Israel Adesanya did against Joel Romero. You know, just fights that just happened. But he could have ran the fuck out of town to get away from those punches and then reset and think about what he want to do next. Just don't freaking pedal backwards to the cage, knowing you should have talked to Tyrone Woodley. He's really good about luring people back to the cage and knocking them the fuck out. He's very good at it. Because he will back up and back up. It's almost like he has that peripheral. You know what I'm saying? He has that cat-like senses. And he'll back up to the cage. Darren Till. What was going on with Rosenstruck? We was looking forward to this showdown, man, between 2 heavy punchers. That just goes to show you, if you get a fight that's been knocked out a lot, other fighters are able to look good knocking them out. But in this particular instance, we haven't seen Ngannou knocked out. We haven't seen Rosenstruck knocked out. So what happened when two people in a common opponent meet up for a heavyweight clash? Who has the more dog? Who's game and who's not? And last night, Francis Ngannou showed that he was game. And the only thing he did was close down on him, swinging wildly, and he was able to connect once. Rosenstruck didn't have any more room. Rosenstruck should have known the fence was there, and his limitation had presented itself. Anyway, Ngannou wins first round knockout. He wins, man. First round knockout. Cejudo and Dominique Cruz. And I know Josh has been antsy. Let me read some of Josh's comments, man. Shout out to Josh Talks UFC, man. For what my first comment that I've seen with Josh, it seems like he had a change of heart. He's a Dominique Cruz fan, and all of a sudden he decided to unstraddle the fence and jump on another freaking train unit and ride that into the station of Henry Cejudo now. Come on, man. You got to be a little bit more patient. Dominique Cruz still has some fight left in him. He said he would go down in history books having a gold medal flyweight bantamweight champion if he retires with a career he had let. Let's hope he doesn't retire. Bryce Mitchell's grappling skills and jiu-jitsu is unbelievable and crazy. Totally agree with that. Now we are on Wednesday's card. Some decent fighters are on there. Glover Smith, OSP, Rossville. Man, stop it. I mean, come on now. Come on, man. I mean, if you a hardcore a mixed martial arts fan and those names are common names, okay, but OSP, man, come on now. Rockwell. Now I gotta give Michael Johnson his respect because Michael Johnson, he does have great hands. I'm just not sure what's been going on with him and his losing streak. You know what I'm saying? He was a dude that defeated Tony Ferguson. You know? But anyway, Luke is the future of the welterweight division. He's very technical and has some good striking and kicks. And he's only 28. I think still young and has some nasty combination. Those kicks. Yeah, I agree with that, man. I like the smoothness on how he operates in there, man. In such a tough combat sport. I like the way he just is. He has this composure about him. He's technically sound. He delegates his striking authority in a way like he is the teacher. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't let you know too much. Like he isn't a boisterous type of striker. You know how you get some fighters in there, they just all loud, they irky jerky, and they doing a whole lot of other shit. I mean, he's a very smooth type of striker, man. He gets straight down to business. He keep it straight to the fundamentals, keep it tight. And you got to salute him for that, man. I like Luque, man, the way he goes out there and get it in. And he has decent power. What a win was for Luque after that tough fight with Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy destroyed Luque in that fight, and Luque showed a lot of heart in that fight. And to bounce back and get the win is nice. Both of those guys kind of have that easygoing demeanor about them. You know, somewhat quiet, reserved, not a lot of talking, but, you know, they can fight. That goes for Wonder Boy Thompson, too. Even though, unfortunately, he was in one of the worst freaking fights ever with Darren Till. Will you be doing a live stream, Scotty, for the card on Wednesday and Saturday? Probably so. Probably so, but, you know, after that $64, you know, I was trying to hit the streets and goddamn get some of my money back. You know what I'm saying? Verdun looked terrible in that fight. He probably never challenged for a title again. He's 42. He'll either fight someone who's at the end. I agree, man. I'm not even going to finish. I agree with what you said on that. He didn't look good at all, man. Olenek was rushing Verdun. Didn't know what to do. Olenek probably could have put him away in the first round. It was funny, man, with how he came in there, and like I said before, he was just winging punches left, right. Like you have two sticks, you have a stick in each hand, and you're just swinging those sticks, and then you just toss the sticks aside. Now that you're in close, and then now you really start damn punching down the middle. You know, you start digging to the body. Your opponent is distracted, so now I'm going to really give you what I was looking for. But it's just amazing how he has to go through that routine of his just to get on the inside. And then, you know, when he's seen that Fabricio Verdun was getting tired a little bit, he just started cocking that right hand and walking in. You know what I'm saying? How obvious can it be that you are looking to throw the right hand? And once he's able to touch Fabricio on the inside, right uppercuts, period. It's really impressive that Ngannou knocked Rozenstruik out. It was expected. We still don't know if Ngannou has improved cardio wrestling because all his fights recently have lasted one round. True words. I agree with that. Like, I really wasn't trying to see who was going to knock each other out. With Ngannou and Rozenstruik, I wanted to see a good fight. And what I seen was a guy who didn't understand the magnitude of this fight. If Rozenstruik could have sit up there and performed somewhat even close to what he was able to deliver on the back end of his Alistair Overeem fight, then maybe it would have been a little bit different. You know, people wouldn't look at him as just being a hype job. But now people are looking at Rozenstruik as being in there with Alistair, and he was able to land on a fighter that may have been a little tired, and he landed the shot that count. But Ngannou, we all know he comes out strong in the first two rounds. Rozenstruik and his people should have known that shit. So give it up to Francis Ngannou for testing this man's mettle. He's saying, you know what? I ain't fucking around with you tonight. I'm not doing it. I got to give Ngannou his props. He did what the fuck he's supposed to do. It was a lot of hype between him and Rozenstruik, more so Rozenstruik, because of what he was able to do to Alistair Overeem. And, you know, the uppercut that Ngannou landed against Alistair Overeem, I'm like, I wasn't too impressed about it because I seen him get knocked out before. But to split a man's lip open the way Rozenstruik was able to do, I'm like, damn, that man has some power. But damn, you can't use the power when you're running backwards. So man, it is what it is. I'm done talking about. Salute to Ngannou, man. Salute to Ngannou. Real talk. Henry Cejudo and Dominick Cruz. Man, I have to give credit where credit is due. I was going for Dominick Cruz, right? But I have to tell you that I'm highly impressed with the way Henry Cejudo has went to the drawing board. His dedication, proving that he is one of the elite fighters and athletes in the world. From the Olympic gold standard to going in here being champ in the flyweight and bantamweight division, to going in there dispersing of Dominick Cruz in a validated fashion. And what I mean by validated, people, I know a lot of people are upset that Dominick Cruz wasn't able to get off. Henry Cejudo never allowed Dominick Cruz to get off yesterday. He was a step ahead of him with those Paul Bunyan leg kicks. He was chopping wood early, y'all. And I was saying, you know what? I really don't like how Henry Cejudo and them are just going for the legs. You know, just like everybody else, just like TJ Dillashaw tried. You know, he's just going to the legs. And then I thought to myself, you know, if it's working for him, continue to go through the legs. It's up to Dominick Cruz to stop that shit. If you're moving all around the way he was doing, it was up to Dominick Cruz to press the gas and become more mobile and use his movement and foot coordination to elude those kicks. But he didn't do it because the timing in which Cejudo was so amazing. He didn't get distracted in all the foot movement, but God damn it, when it was time for him to catch Dominique Cruz at a certain point, he fired off that leg kick. And I'm telling you, his target accuracy was on the dime. Them was some hard kicks he was landing on Dominique Cruz. It wasn't even too many punches landed. So being it was a 5-round fight and he had so much success with his leg kicks early on, I'm really saying to myself, I say, damn, is Dominique Cruz going to be able to make it to the 3rd round? Like, is it fucking possible? When is he going to try to shoot in and prove that he can take Henry Cejudo down? And goddamn it took me back. Look, it took me back to the same type of intercession that Jorge Masvidal and his people had when they stepped in there with Ben Askren. I bullshit you not. But Dominique Cruz was a whole lot less predictable than Ben Askren when it goes to, going in for the shot. A lot less. And in this particular exchange, right, Dominique Cruz was shooting in for the takedown. But it's not like he warned you or he provided you any type of damn pre-instruction that I'm about to shoot in on Henry Cejudo. He just did it. And the window was so small for Henry Cejudo to react. That just goes to show you how sharp Henry Cejudo was yesterday. For him to take the small amount of time to recognize Dominique Cruz is shooting in the way he did. And it wasn't even a switch knee. Like if you look at Jorge Masvidal, he threw a flying knee and he switched to gain that momentum. Started with the left, then ended with the right, cracked Ben Askren on the side of his head and on his clavicle, right? But for Dominique Cruz, when he decided to try to go in for what looked like he was going for a double, Henry Cejudo cracked him with a right knee. I mean, come on with that. Come on, bro. That shit was goddamn amazing, man. That was some amazing shit Henry Cejudo did, man. That was some leprechaun with a pot of gold type shit he pulled out that motherfucker, man. Like, goddamn, the reaction time was elite. Elite status, man. For Dominique Cruz to shoot in on Henry Cejudo and get tagged, punished, cracked in the jaw with a knee. Then he falls down and Henry Cejudo is on top of him like the murder hornet. Stinging him. Pop, 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 pop. And then the referee stops the fight. Now, this is where I have a little bit of issue with the referee, right? I've seen this guy ref before, but for him to ref this particular fight, this is a historic fight in many ways than one. The reason why I'm saying it's historic is the fact that you have Henry Cejudo, who's one of the new age superstars. He's building himself up to be a superstar, right? And he's earned a lot of those badges so far. He's a champ. Okay? I don't care if he vacated the flyweight title. He will go down as being the champ, the flyweight and bantamweight. My thing is, Dominique Cruz has never been knocked out before. So if that is the case, let the punches continue to rain down just a little bit longer so we can see if Dominique Cruz can get up. Or does he just go limp and he's out cold? You can't complain on one side and then want to show remorse on the other. You can't complain that the referee stopped the fight, but then say, oh, he was taking some punches. Dominique Cruz has never been stopped. So come on, man. Like, he was knocked down like 3 or 4 times against Cody Garbrandt. Give him the benefit of the doubt to go out on his shield. The man has been off for an extensive amount of time, and he's in a championship fight. Allow him to weather the storm if he's capable. This man was just stepping in there, goddamn waving his hands and shit, like he just don't care. Let this motherfucker fight, goddammit. And then Henry Cejudo gets the stoppage. Hands Dominique Cruz. His third loss, 22-3. I believe that's his record. And then Henry Cejudo takes to the mic and says he's retiring. Now, a lot of me don't believe Henry Cejudo's retiring. I believe it was an opportune time to rub it in Dominique's face as being the last person that Henry Cejudo defeated. I think it was a lot of subliminal gangster savageness with Mr. Cringe himself to say, you know what? I did everything I need to do. I just stopped who y'all consider the best bantamweight ever in the UFC. The longest reigning bantamweight in the UFC. I just stopped his ass. I'm retiring. I have nothing else to prove. I don't have shit else to prove. I'm out. I'm about to start a family, maybe get married, go buy a new car. Who knows, man? Open up a school. I don't fucking know. Henry Cejudo was gangster. He was rubbing that shit in Dominique Cruz's face, man. And he was rubbing it in the damn UFC's face too. Because the UFC now understands who they have on deck with Henry Cejudo. He shows up, he get the shit done. Now you got to pay the man. And you know why he got a problem? You know why? He has a personal vendetta. You know why? It all boils back down to early, when he's supposed to face TJ Dillashaw. And he was trying to goddamn ask for a little bit more money because these fighters got to get paid, right? And Dana White said, you know what? You asking too much money. That's allegedly. All right, let me put the A word in there, allegedly. So they say, you know what? Henry Cejudo, no, fuck all that. We're going to put everything on TJ Dillashaw and gift him the present and have him come down to your division and fuck you up. And once he fuck you up, we're going to do away with the division. And though hardcore MMA fans look back, you'll say to yourself, like, yeah, they was firing and letting go flyweight fighters because they was planning on abolishing the division, doing away with it, putting it in a closet. Duct tape, please. Seal the flyweight division up. We ain't got to see that shit no more. Henry Cejudo, what he did yesterday was like, motherfucker, I know how good I am. I know how good I am. Him saying he's retiring is basically trying to have them scramble and to say, you know what, pay me my motherfucking money next time I'm in a big fight. If you want me to go back in there and rematch Dominique Cruz, you're going to have to pay me. Him retiring, I wasn't convinced. 100%. I wasn't convinced 100%. I'm convinced 40%. I probably know from I haven't really, traveled and been on an excursion like he has, competing at the highest level. But when a man started talking about kids and family, I can believe that he really want to get off this shit, stop cutting weight all the time, being in the gym, being in fight camps and all that other shit, right? But for him and his next fight, I think him saying he retiring, he wants them to kind of be at his mercy just a little bit. And for his next fight to be huge and well worth it, because he lost a lot of money. He lost the lion's share, so to speak, when he knocked out TJ Dillashaw. So yeah, he's feeling salty. Hell yeah, he's feeling salty. He say, fuck all what you heard. Y'all thought he was going to come down there to the flyweight division and knock me out so you can goddamn go on about your business. And no, I knocked him out in the first round. So will we see a Dominique Cruz and Henry Cejudo too? Do the people want to see that? Being that he was stopped. Once again, a part of me would like to. And then a part of me said, you know what? Henry Cejudo looked very good. Very, very good against against Dominick Cruz. So, with that said, TJ Dillashaw will probably be back on the grounds, eligible to fight around 6 or 7 months, I believe. So if you take TJ Dillashaw coming off suspension, I don't want to see that fight. Seriously, I would want to see TJ Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo. Dominick Cruz, man, salute to you, my brother. You're a warrior. 3-time bantamweight champion. I'm not saying Dominick Cruz wouldn't have gotten up, but man, he was getting blitzed. Like he was getting stung up something nice, man. He was getting punished. And I really, with confidence, I can't say Dominick Cruz would have got out of that barrage or that onslaught that Henry Cejudo was giving him. And we're talking about a fresh, like Henry Cejudo looked fresh. He really wasn't tested. But Henry Cejudo got the job done. To the main event. So I said, did you see Cruz saying the referee was drunk and smoking? Thoughts on that? If the referee was indeed drunk, and you know, for those who saw the fight card, Dominick Cruz obviously, you know, he was very irritated with the referee, and he snatched his hand away when the referee was holding both of the fighters' hands. And you know, we know Dominick Cruz is not short of articulating his thought process, right? So when it comes down to it, he's gonna talk to the higher ups. He's gonna talk. He worked for him. He's gonna talk to him and say, "Listen, I don't fucking like that referee. You know, he was drunk and smoking." Okay, let's say for instance the referee was drunk and smoking. Okay, is it against the law to drink? No, it's not. Is it against the law to smoke? No, unless you did it before you stepped into the cage and you had alcohol in your breath. And I really don't think that's what Dominick Cruz was talking about. Now, for instance, how is that applicable to the knee that was signed off on when Dominick Cruz changed levels to go in for the takedown? That's my point. You was in trouble. The referee did not put you in trouble. Henry Cejudo's knee put you in trouble. Right or wrong? Am I exaggerating? Am I bloviating the point? What put Dominick Cruz in trouble? The knee from Henry Cejudo did. So we'll see what plays out after that. I want to get to my man Justin Gaethje. Woo! God damn, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson. Salute to both of them dudes. Salute to both of them. God damn, man. If any part of my $64 that I felt that was well earned, I mean well spent, it was that main event, real talk. God damn. From watching Justin Gaethje from the World Series of Fighting, seeing what he's capable of, man, the way he goes in there fighting. I've always been a fan of Justin Gaethje. When he was in the World Series of Fighting, undefeated, to him crossing over to the UFC. When they said Justin Gaethje was coming over here, I was like, hell to the yeah, let me goddamn grab the Henny bottle, you know, pour out a little goddamn shot for Justin Gaethje, take a sip. It is what it is. When they told me Ben Askren is coming over here, that's what Ben Askren got for me. You know, I mean, I'm serious, man. That shit didn't give me any type of hoopla, you know. My energy level didn't change. But Justin Gaethje proved yesterday that he's been working. Every single move, every turn, every thought process that Tony Ferguson had that to some people is considered eccentric, awkward, Justin Gaethje had an answer to. Justin Gaethje proved that he could go in there and punish Tony Ferguson without being punished himself, like we've seen him against Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier, y'all. He proved that he's been listening. He proved that he is a student and understands what his value is if he wants to get to a title shot with Khabib. Justin Gaethje totally understood what he was supposed to do, the orders given and the mission at hand. Now, the second round, the end of the second round, it was a little bit shaky. Tony Ferguson hit him with that right uppercut, dropped him. I was like, oh, shit. Uh-oh. You know, Justin Gaethje, you know, it is all the punishment catching up with him. But he kept his eyes on Tony Ferg. So I said, okay, he's aware. All right, cool. He knows what's going on. Cool. Throughout the rest of the fight, I was able to see Tony Ferguson take us back to Halloween. It's almost like you walking through a store and you're trying to find the scariest mask to wear. Like it's really going to prove that you was any different than anyone else on Halloween. And Tony Ferguson was trying to pull out every different dangerous looking technique he can find. Like he was moving around, he was doing the shit with his arms, he tried the elbows, spinning technique. He was trying every type of arsenal that he had to his disposal on Justin Gaethje, and he just couldn't get it out. It just wasn't there because Justin Gaethje was able to be at the highest point of his competitive career, in there with a lethal freaking mercenary like Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson has been a mercenary up to the point where he ran into the hitman. Yeah. If you look at the opponents that Tony Ferguson was able to get a hold to and slice up with those elbows and punches, he was successful. But what I liked about Justin Gaethje was his distance, etiquette, the way he put his punches together, fighting smart the whole fight. You know, being elusive at the right time, but not making the fight boring, not pulling off an Esparza and Waterson. You know what I'm saying? Justin Gaethje did not run and act like he was Izzy Adesanya. He didn't goddamn bend any style yesterday. He made it a point to say, you know what? I can stay close distance and I can goddamn fire off and be accurate to an awkward striker like Tony Ferguson. I'm proving to the people that's watching at home that I can be that striker. I can be a highlight. I can be one of your favorite MMA fighters. And I think he did that. Seriously. You know, at the end, he said, Dakistan, I can be the American who goes over here and defend the country against the Dakistan fighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like that has anything to do with it. I'm not sure why he want to, you know, get behind the country all of a sudden, because the U.S., I don't know. It's very hard for a country to get behind you like the Philippines, Mexico, you know what I'm saying? Russia, UK. It's difficult, but I understand what he was trying to do. He's trying to sell a fight to make the U.S. against Russia type of deal, so he can get paid. That's what I see happening with Justin Gaethje. What's going on, Line Killer? What's good? What's good? Did the damn thing last night. Man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And y'all be sure to check out my man Line Killer's channel, man. Real talk. Go check him out. Subscribe to the channel. Josh said, did you see Cruz saying the referee was drunk and smoking? Thoughts on that? Pay Cejudo the money. I agree, Josh. Pay him the money. I agree. But, you know, with Justin Gaethje, man, that was my prediction. I was going for him. He proved to everybody that he has been listening and he has been up there polishing up his skill set. I have to give the man mad respect to what he was able to accomplish against someone who hasn't lost since 2012 when Michael Johnson defeated him. And then what's more fucked up, look, Michael Johnson defeated Tony Ferguson back then. And then Khabib Nurmagomedov defeated Michael Johnson via third round Kimura, right? A better, more improved Michael Johnson. It's going to be a good fight. And let me check something out right quick. I think I'm right on this, but I just want to check something out right quick because I think I'm right on. Before I say it though, I just want to check something. I want to check this out right quick. Yep. That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. I didn't want to say it. Shit was goddamn flicking through my catalog. But you know, I was saying how Tony Ferguson lost to Michael Johnson, right? And then Khabib defeated Michael Johnson. Justin Gaethje even defeated Michael Johnson after Khabib Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov defeated him via third round, like I said, via Kimura, right? Sub. Justin Gaethje defeated him in round 2, punches and knees. But I just didn't want to let that flicker off my tongue without doing a check. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Khabib defeated him in 2016, and Justin Gaethje defeated Michael Johnson in 2017. The reason why I mentioned that is common opponents. That's all. Common opponents. That's it. That's all. So anyway, if by chance, I'm hoping Dana White do the right thing. This is what I'm talking about. Dana White want to say Tony Ferguson looked a little off. He looked a little slow. This, that, and the other. It might have been from 2 weight cuts. And that might be the case. But when it comes down to who should get the championship fight is the interim champion, Justin Gaethje. Hands down, point blank, period. Justin Gaethje did what he had to do yesterday. Those kicks, those chopping leg kicks was on Tony's ass. Then the punch, look, the punch sets that Justin Gaethje was putting together with the kicks, with bow tying those kicks to the end of that combination. Smart. Very nice, solid offensive strategy from Justin Gaethje. He didn't let him being dropped at the end of the second round affect him to continue to move and delegate his offensive authority. Now, for Tony Ferguson, he never relented. He kept coming forward as much as he possibly can, even when he was taking punishment. I kept saying to myself, like, it's only a matter of time before Tony Ferguson switch some shit up and he's going to really start getting in and start touching up Justin Gaethje. It's only a matter of time. And Justin Gaethje proved me wrong. He's like, nope, not tonight. Justin Gaethje is known to go in there and look the worse for wear against an opponent that's going to give him what he's looking for. And that's punch for punch. But in this particular matchup, he was in there with an opponent that was willing to give him what he was looking for. But in the process of that, Justin Gaethje has worked on his skill, and he was able to be more defensively sounded and stand out the way from taking punishment, which leads me to his fight with Khabib. He should be the one that's getting in the cage with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib say he'll be ready by May. Now, what did he say? He'll be ready by May 23rd. Okay, Khabib say he'll be ready by May. All right. So therefore, it's no way in hell we're going to see Justin Gaethje return in June. It doesn't make any sense to fuck the man like that and have him turn back around and jump back in fight camp, right? So let's say about August or whatever. Give Justin Gaethje time to rest from this fight. He said he hurt his finger. You know, his forearms was a little tender from blocking those kicks, which we know he won't have to worry about with Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? So let's say around August time frame, if that. Now that we know that Tony Ferguson Khabib, I hope, is put to bed. Now, is anything possible with Dana White possibly saying, you know what, Tony Ferguson was a little bit slow, I still want to see it? Dana White can be anal like that, man. I'm like, something about what he was saying at the press conference. I say, you know what, Dana White has made some crazy decisions before. Will he do what is right and don't do what the people want? And this is the case I'm talking about. Justin Gaethje coming off a tough fight with Ferguson. He's going to be in recovery. So since Khabib has been over there in Russia taking care of his pops, you know, shout out to his pops. Hope everything is good to go with his pops. I know he was in the hospital for a minute with flu-like symptoms or something to that nature. So is Dana White going to say in the interim, next to the interim, let's make another fight that don't make sense? You know what I'm saying? Let's put Khabib in there with somebody else. Khabib don't need to go in there with anybody else besides Justin Gaethje when it's time. We don't need Khabib to go in there and mess up a money fight. We don't need that shit. We need for the fans to get used to what's about to happen, you know, to get acclimated to get their you know, to build up their attraction to this championship fight in the lightweight division. And neither one of these fighters should fight anybody else, especially Khabib, until the championship fight is on board, whether it be around August. Nothing more. Justin Gaethje has earned his title fight, and Khabib need to understand that in a couple of months, he's going to have to get on the PJ and get in the fight camp. And let's see how he fares against Justin Gaethje. Now, one thing is evident about Nurmagomedov and Gaethje. Tony Ferguson wasn't able to infiltrate and force Justin Gaethje to exploit what we don't know about his wrestling pedigree. No one's been able to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So we look at the process of Tony Ferguson not being able to exploit that, not even to breach the perimeter, not even shoot in. So we can kind of see what the reaction is going to be like, what the sprawl is looking like, the timing. None of that shit. But I can tell you who is going to do it. I can tell you who is going to make that shit happen. I can tell you who's going to goddamn have mask off when he walk up there and try to commit this robbery. That's Khabib. It's no way in hell someone's going to bet me money that Khabib don't go in for a takedown like Tony Ferguson. It's going to happen. And that's the one process that I'm a little bit weary about. I'm curious to see how Gaethje will respond once taken down. Is he going to be able to make it back to his feet in a timely manner? And the reason I say timely manner, because I seen Alaquinta, who took the fight on a last minute notice, and he was able to get up every time Khabib took him down. So therefore, is Alaquinta better than Justin Gaethje? We don't know, because we really haven't seen Justin Gaethje in a predicament where somebody's testing his wrestling. He's just in there going on an all-out assault. But this time he cleaned it up. His thought selection was much more educated, and it caused him not to wear the fight on his face like he usually. Josh said, I predicted Pettis, DeCastro, Qatar, Bryce Mitchell. I got right, not best, but I'll take it. Gaethje versus Khabib will be the fight. Can't wait. I want to see Gaethje versus Khabib when Tony comes back. I want to see Tony versus Charles Oliveira, both jiu-jitsu specialists. Great fight. Conor versus Dustin or Masvidal or Diaz. I don't know what that's about, that paragraph that you just dropped. I want to see Gaethje versus Khabib when Tony comes back. Why does Tony have any say-so in the return of a championship fight? He had 5 freaking years to make it happen. Don't nobody want to goddamn go back to that ominous sighting, that UFO sighting. You know what I'm saying? Unidentified fighting object. I know it's a little whack, but goddamn it, it's like a UFO when it comes to Nurmagomedov and Ferguson. It is, man. 5 freaking years, and we want to wait on Justin Gaethje and Khabib to fight till Tony comes back, who has a freaking fractured orbital? No, that shit is over. He'll be back whenever he be back. I'm pretty sure he's gonna go through some dark times. Like, dude, look bad. For Tony Ferguson to shake his head, I mean, he looked bad. It took me back. I mean, he looked bad. I'm not gonna make light of it because Tony Ferguson is a warrior. I'm not gonna make light. I'm not even gonna make fun of him the way he looked and shaking his head. I'm not gonna do it. I got respect for the dude. You know what I'm saying? I got respect for him. But for him to shake his head the way he did, basically saying no mas, fuck that return. Let's see Gaethje, Khabib, and then let's talk about all the other shit. Tony versus Charles Oliveira is not going to happen anytime soon. Charles Oliveira just had a dominating win over Kevin Lee, and guess what? When he comes back, he ain't going to be facing Tony Ferguson. Charles Oliveira is going to be facing somebody. It's not going to, because it's going to take Tony Ferguson a while to heal. And I know Charles Oliveira is not going to want to be on the shelf that long awaiting Tony Ferguson to return. But I do like what you said about jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu. But once again, you have to look at it this way, Josh. When it comes to these two individuals, jiu-jitsu is not going to be the primary striking discipline. It's not. It's not. Both of them are schooled in jiu-jitsu, but as we all know, Charles Oliveira likes to stand and bang too. But if you take it to the ground, he's very educated on the ground, just as Tony Ferguson. But Tony Ferguson is damaged. He's damaged right now. He's going to be out. Hold on for a second. Now, Conor McGregor has already defeated Dustin Poirier. All right. And this is where I'm getting at. Conor McGregor defeated Dustin Poirier, and he wasn't as well-rounded as he is now, right? And then you take Dustin Poirier defeating Max Holloway. Okay, Max Holloway wanted to move up and try to be champ, featherweight, lightweight, right? Dustin Poirier shut that shit down, sent him on his way. I'm not saying Max Holloway isn't a good fighter. He's blessed, and he was a little bit too small for the lightweight division. Now, granted, Dustin Poirier stepped up and fought Khabib and was subbed out in the 4th. Now, for Conor McGregor, all right, for Conor McGregor to face Dustin Poirier again, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. But you're talking about Conor McGregor, who's very choosy right now. He's going to say, oh, I defeated him already. I'm all about my proper 12. I don't need Dustin. Dustin needs me. And you know what? He might be a little bit correct. Like, Dustin do need Conor. Conor doesn't need Dustin. You know what I'm saying? Um, he's a little bit correct in that. Do I want to see Dustin Poirier fight Conor McGregor again? It's not like I would deny the fight, like it matters, but I'm really not picking it as one of my dream fights, one of my fantasy fights. I'm not doing that. Masvidal and Diaz. I really don't want to see Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz anymore anytime soon. Diaz was getting worked in that fight. And say what you want about the stoppage. Just here we go again with these stoppages, right? They want people who take punishment. And this is how shit differs in the UFC, right? You have certain individuals like Nate Diaz who can take an extreme amount of punishment, and the referee may allow the fight to continue. Not so much as Dominique Cruz, because they haven't really seen him take a lot of punishment. Even though he was getting knocked down by Cody Garbrandt, they haven't seen him go through the Nate Diaz storm. So he never been stopped before. You know what I'm saying? And the only person that stopped Nate Diaz was Josh Punk Thompson. Almost similar fashion, like Jorge Masvidal, kicked a shin kick to the head, and it hurt him. Now, Jorge Masvidal stepping in there with Nate Diaz again. It's just not something I want to see. I'd rather see Masvidal versus Conor McGregor. Yes, absolutely. Masvidal, Kobe Covington. Masvidal, Kamaru Usman. Anybody besides Nate Diaz. Nothing against the Stockton OGs, man. I just don't want to see Masvidal against Nate Diaz again. No, I meant when Tony comes back from his injury, I want to see him versus Charles. Yeah, I mean, he looked bad though. I'm curious to see, how long it's going to take for him to recover. I mean, he looked bad. He has a fractured orbital, from my understanding. It was brutal to watch. That fight, man, the way Tony was moving at the end of the fight was terrible to watch. Gaethje put a beating on him. He did, man. He did. Gaethje was the surgeon that night. Usually, Gaethje is somewhat the patient who's being operated on. But goddamn, Gaethje was the doctor who was performing the operation. And he did a damn good job. And he shut Tony Ferguson down most of the fight. Not all of the fight, most of it. He had success. So we got to give it up to him. And definitely, you got to give him respect. Seriously. My eyes are sensitive to light. So that's why I be switching up, putting on my glasses. Gives me a freaking headache sometimes. I don't even know if we'll see Tony again this year. That was brutal. Yeah, it's possible. You know what I'm saying? Let me go back. Scott, did you see the UFC made it official that Amanda Nunes would be defending her title on UFC 250 against Spencer? If that's the main event, the PPV numbers will be terrible. No resistance here. Amanda Nunes, man, she's not one of those athletes at the time that's a ticket seller, unfortunately. Even though she's the bantamweight and featherweight champion, she's just not in the eyes of hardcore MMA fans as somebody to cheer like Ronda Rousey. Even though she put a hurting on Ronda Rousey when they fought, Ronda Rousey had already given all that momentum and accolades to Holly Holmes. Holly Holmes could have been that fighter to win over the mixed martial arts hardcore fans on the women's side of the house. She absolutely could have, y'all. Holly Holmes could have been that fighter, but she just don't have the headspace consistently She's almost like a female version of Uriah Hall. They say he kind of loses it in big fights. Holly Holmes is somewhat the same. You know what I'm saying? And Amanda Nunes, she is absolutely an OG of the sport. She's very much a top competitor in the women's division. But you know what the hardcore fans are going to say, right? And the critics. The women's division have less divisions than the men. And also they have less worthy, valuable competition, quality competition in those divisions. Especially when it comes to the featherweight division. There are not many freaking females that you can look back on and say, you know what? That's exactly who I want to go see. Like, you don't have a line of stars that people want to put dream matchups and fantasy matchups. It just doesn't happen that way. And Amanda Nunes, man, if she's in there fighting Spencer, good luck with that. Good luck with that, man. I don't see Amanda Nunes as a PPV star. She's a good person. I just don't see her, man. I don't see her as a PPV star. Like Ronda Rousey, you know, as much as I don't like using her as an example, when it was time for her to go step in there and fight, whether it was against Kamooch, Misha Tate, anybody who she stepped in, Holly Holmes, whatever, people wanted to go see Ronda Rousey fight. Whatever the case, I don't know if it was Olympic status, any of that shit. They wanted to go see Ronda Rousey fight. Period. I don't know, you know, because of her winning streak, her subbing out all her opponents, whatever. She was part of the first women's division in the UFC, all that. But now times have changed. You have more divisions on the women's side of the spectrum. And one person who established herself is one of the greats is Amanda Nunes, but if she's going to be PPV, man, that the rest of that card better be stacked. Seriously. She better have a stacked co-main all the way down to the prelims. That shit better be absolutely boiling over like it's Mount Killer Whale, goddamn. Shit, it better be a volcano in that motherfucker, dog. I think that would be the co-main event. But I'm wondering what would be the main event of that card, possibly welterweight title, Usman versus Kobe rematch. I'd like to see that. Usman versus Kobe Covington. I like to see that. It's all good. But also, I like to see Tyron Woodley step back in there with Kamaru Usman for a rematch. I don't know how you can defend your title 4 times and not be considered to step back in there to get it back. You know what I'm saying? You won the title in dominating fashion against Robbie Lawler. You crushed. You didn't crush, but you gave Stephen Wonderboy Thompson the work. You sit there and negated like 20 plus takedowns of Damian Maia, and you straight up there and obliterated Darren Till in the second round. You lost to Kamaru Usman, and people are like, nah, we don't want. Do you think Tyron Woodley is less exciting than Kamaru Usman? People, come on. Do you believe that Tyron Woodley is less exciting than Kamaru Usman? If you think that, something's terribly wrong, man. I just think Usman is very boring. Seriously, very boring. Even though he dominated Tyron Woodley, okay, get it. Him stepping in there against Kobe Covington again, I'll watch it. Because Covington is going to make it about him. He's going to talk that shit. And he's not a bad fighter, believe it or not. He has pretty decent hands, pretty decent stand-up. I want to see what he brings back to the table, what he can improve on. Because I just think Usman, he can be beat. It's just all about who's going to do it. Who's going to do it? Who's going to be the one to do it? That's all I want to see. You're looking forward to the fight nights this week. Some good fights. I'm always looking forward to the fights in general because once again, I report on the sport itself. You know what I'm saying? I look forward. I'm just not a fan just up here watching TV. I look at the fights for a reason, to keep updated and current on the fighters. As far as my enthusiasm or motivation waiting for this card, I mean, UFC 249, man, that's a hard act to follow right now. So for all these other cards that's falling in line, it's gonna be tough. I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be tough for them to measure up, especially if I got Alistair Overeem and Cannonier. Man, come on, stop that, stop it. I seen that Woodley versus Gilbert Burns has been booked. Dana White has other plans for Masvidal, and Leon Edwards is stuck in the UK. Kobe is the only option unless you want to give Chiesa a title shot. I don't know about Chiesa a title shot right now, no. Stop. But not even an interim. But Woodley Gilbert Burns, I like that fight. I like that fight. Hell yeah, I like that. Even more, I like Masvidal Edwards, man. They got to see each other. When you give somebody a three-piece in goddamn Offset on site, Offset being in the cage, on site being back right where it went down. When you three-piece somebody up like that and they get a cut over their eye, they got to see each other. So Masvidal Edwards, that shit has to happen. It has to happen. And yes, that's a fight I want to see. I want to see Masvidal in a damn good fight, man. Seriously. He got to come back with something that the matchup allows the people to say, okay, this is kind of like a step up outside of the 5-second knockout of Ben Askren. This is a step up from Nate Diaz. You know what I'm saying? He got to continue to grow outside of what people know him for right now. People know him from the 5-second knockout and recently, stepping there with Nate Diaz and getting a stoppage. So what's next? It has to be Edwards, man, because they got a history. They have a history. Michael Chiesa, tall, lanky striker, man. I'm not hating on Michael Chiesa, but I do believe he needs to continue to work himself back up to get a quality name in the ranking system. Let me check some shit out right quick. Let me check out my man Michael Chiesa right quick, and because I want to be sure. I don't know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. But I want to check my man Michael Chiesa where he's sitting at right now on these rankings. So Michael Chiesa is ranked 8th right now. The good thing about that is, we have so many people that's behind him that'll make really good fights. But the ones that's in front of him, I'm not sure if Dana White will even link them up just yet. Because if you're talking about Gilbert Burns and Tyron Woodley, Gilbert Burns is ranked number 6. And of course, Woodley is the number 1 rank, right? And then you have Kobe Covington potentially stepping back in there with the champ. So ranked 3rd is Jorge Masvidal. He'll be taking on number 4 Leon Edwards if that fight happened. So who's left out really is Michael Chiesa. So Michael Chiesa is nowhere close to facing any of the name I just mentioned. So do we want to see him face Damian Maia? Not really. Not really. Not really. I wouldn't mind seeing Michael Chiesa face Nate Diaz. And then even so, Vicente Luque right now, ranked 13th. I wouldn't mind seeing him face Michael Chiesa. That would be a good step-up fight for Luque right now, if he's ready for it. And then you can't rule out Geoff Neal Very solid fighter, up and coming, man. Kobe versus Usman 2. Kobe versus Usman 2 will bring a lot of hype, and the trash talk will be there. And if that's on UFC 250 and the UFC stacked this card could challenge 249. I'm not sure about challenging 249 because 249, it just has so many freaking matchups on there that the ones what you're talking about right now, Josh, is just like minimal. We're talking about a co-main event and main event. You know what I'm saying? Like, is Kobe versus Usman 2 gonna match up to Tony Ferguson Gaethje? Possibly, if it's the main event, possibly. But you're talking about two different styles, man. They did bang it out. I'm not gonna lie, they did bang it out, Kobe and Usman. They did. But also, if you look at Usman, he can be that fighter that fought Tyron Woodley too. You know what I'm saying? Go in, get close, clinch up, and stay there for quite some time. But you know, that's the main event. And then, you know, we have a nice solid co-main. I don't know if Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer is going to be that co-main event. I don't know. I would like to watch Thug Rose and Jessica Andrade rematch than Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer, to be honest. But yeah, the trash talk, it's always going to be there. Kobe Covington, always. From what my understanding is, he has Chael Sonnen, Chael, writing his freaking words. You know what I'm saying? His one-liners and shit. And what better mouthpiece to do that? That's the guy to do it. I ain't gonna lie. That's the guy to do it. Real talk. Neil Magny versus Chiesa. Absolutely. That'll be a good one. But Neil Magny, I just had to check the rankings. Neil Magny, no way even close. I don't think he's going to even come close to fight Michael Chiesa, but you know, anything is possible with Dana White. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Neil Magny is not even ranked in the top 15, man. That's a ways off. Seriously. I heard Chael Sonnen actually writes some of the the punchlines that Kobe Covington has. I think that expands a little bit above the tips. I mean, that's just what I heard. I heard Chael Sonnen has a little bit more influence in helping Kobe Covington trash talking. You know, but Chael Sonnen, man, though he's a dirty fighter and a person that has admitted to being a dirty fighter, he's still a good dude. Like, if it's another person that I would like to talk to and have a conversation with that's very astute to mixed martial arts, that is Chael Sonnen, man. He is. He's astute to the game. He knows the good and the bad. He can talk that trash, and he's been around, man. He ain't no punk. Chael Sonnen is not a punk, man. We seen that with Wanderlei Silva. I can't let you get close. I can't let you get close. Got. Shit. Man, come on. Chael Sonnen, man, he dominated Anderson Silva until he was subbed out. He dominated the Spider, man. God damn, man. He was so close to submitting just a little niche in his legacy in having a Spider on his mantle. That was such a quality fight for Chael Sonnen, man. He ended up goddamn staying in the guard too fucking long with a Spider. And Anderson Silva goddamn spent that web, spun it, trapped him, and before Chael knew it, he was in a goddamn triangle. Shit. And I'm kind of sounding like I wanted Chael to win. I did, man. I was pulling for Chael in that fight. I'm not gonna lie. I seen Neil Magny calling out Chiesa saying he's the only opponent that makes sense. Chiesa, and that would be a good fight no matter the rankings. I agree. It's going to be a good fight. They're both tall, lanky fighters. Yeah, Neil Magny and Michael Chiesa will be a good fight. Absolutely. And, you know, even in that fight, man, seriously, it's hard to pick a winner out of that fight. But I don't know, man. Michael Chiesa, I don't know. I think he takes that fight. Seriously. I think Michael Chiesa takes that fight. I think he takes that fight, man. Chael Sonnen is a good guy. He knows the sport and is funny. He said in the video he uploaded early that Oleinik weighed 166 pounds. 126 pounds. Did you type that right, man? Against Verdum? 126 pounds. I mean, he looked like the smaller fighter, but he didn't fight like the smaller fighter. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't scared to get in close. So I have to, you know, award him credit for his courage, man. Because if Chael Sonnen was implying that he was a smaller fighter, he definitely wasn't scared to get in close on a jiu-jitsu black belt like Fabricio. So you really got to show him love on that aspect of it. But man, yeah. Aljamain Sterling. This is something I wanted to ask since, you know, you're the only one in here. I wanted to ask you about who, you know, question of the day. For anyone who's watching, want to tune in, I want to know who should be next in line to contend for the bantamweight title if indeed Henry Cejudo is retired. Should it be Petr Yan? Should it be Aljamain Sterling? You know what I'm saying? Who should it be? Who should be the next in line to fight for the bantamweight title? Josh, if you're still in the building, you know, who should be the next one to fight for that bantamweight title? Sandhagen? Should Sandhagen be on deck? Because Rafael Assunção is due to fight Cody Garbrandt whenever it resumes. So that should be sometime in, I believe, July. Right now, Rafael Assunção, he's ranked 5th, and Cody Garbrandt is ranked 9th. So the ones that's up front, we can't go Marlon Moraes, or I can't say we can't because Dana White loves to do that. So it possibly can be Moraes versus Sterling because Moraes has defeated Aljamain Sterling before via head kick, right? And then you have Petr Yan, who's making a big deal. His voice is in the media. He's talking shit. So Petr Yan, should he fight for the title versus Aljamain Sterling? You know, should Aljamain Sterling get his shot? I mean, you can't knock Moraes for being stopped by Henry Cejudo, who just stopped Dominic Cruz. So if you take two fighters who's been stopped, in Aljamain Sterling, who was stopped by Moraes stopped by Henry Cejudo, that'll be a pretty decent fight. Seriously. Do I believe Petr Yan should get a fight a title fight right now? I mean, he needs to fight freaking Aljamain Sterling on Marlon Moraes, man. I'm not talking about for the belt either. A fight. I mean, fight somebody, man, that's worthy of your name. I don't know, man. that dude doesn't really pinch my, enthusiasm about seeing him fighting for a bantamweight title. And then furthermore, I'm looking ahead and I'm saying, well, how valuable will Petri Yan be if he is the freaking title holder? That's just like Alexander Volkanovski, right? He defeated Max Holloway and then turns around and say, well, it was too easy for me, and I really don't want to step back in there and fight Max Holloway. How the fuck can you say that? You pick up the title, and if you have defeated one of the best at featherweight, the same Max Holloway who blitzed the shit out of Brian Ortega, how can you sit up here and say you defeated Max Holloway, but you don't want to give him a second chance? Maybe it was a little bit tougher. I don't know. But the business of titles, champions, you got to be able to sell the tickets. You got to be able to put butts in the seats. And if Alexander Volkanovski learned anything from Demetrius Johnson, is that just because you pick up the title doesn't mean you get to pick and choose who the fuck you fight, unless you Conor McGregor and you up here pick up a title and then say, you know what, I want to try to contend for the lightweight title against Khabib Nurmagomedov. You don't have the star power to do that. The only reason Dana White allowed Conor McGregor to do it because he had the star power. That star power got brighter. It only illuminated that much brighter when he knocked out Jose Aldo to win his first title in 13 seconds. So Dana White said, okay, we'll send you up to welterweight twice against Nate Diaz, make some money. And then when you come back down, he stops in 155 and he stops Eddie Alvarez. No, they're not going to do a tournament. That's not the way the UFC do business. That's not the PFL. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a bigger tournament could throw names. I'm not even going to go in that. No, they ain't going to do no tournament. Dana White, definitely, he hasn't mentioned anything about tournament style. And being that the PFL is doing tournament style, no. I doubt the UFC would ever do a tournament, but bantamweight tournament would be great. I agree. It would be great. It would be great. Absolutely. If him and Cejudo retire, it would be great for a tournament for somebody to fight for that title. Peter Yan versus Sterling, Marlon versus Sandhagen, Cruz versus Aldo. I like that fight. Dominic Cruz versus Jose Aldo. I like that. I like that fight. I like that. I like Garbrandt versus Sunsao, but out of there, I like Cruz versus Aldo for sure. And Peter Yan versus Sterling. All those fights you mentioned are very entertaining fights. You know what I'm saying? They can get the attention of the fight fans to tune in. Absolutely. What's going on, Trucker? What's good, my brother? My predictions 4-1 was right on 4 out of 5. I predicted Cejudo, my decision. The rest was on point. Salute to you, man. Good calls, man. The fight call was actually exciting. Seriously, the fight call was actually exciting, man. And salute to you for stopping through. You know what I'm saying? This is the UFC 249 fight recap. I'm just over a little bit of 2 hours. So, yeah, man, the fight card turned out. It was a little bit ebbs and flows in there, you know what I'm saying, from Ryan Spann to Sam Alvey, and then all the rest of them took place. But the two main events, the co-main and the main, they didn't disappoint at all. They didn't even go the distance. That's what makes it even better. They did not go the distance. Cruz versus Aldo will be great. I agree, man. I agree with that matchup that you put up there. I agree with that. Cruz versus Aldo will be a very nice fight to see. Stylistically, everything cleans up well. Will be a great matchup, legendary fight we would have got years ago when Aldo and Cruz was in their prime. Absolutely. I agree. If Dominic Cruz isn't retiring, it'd be good to see him stepping there with Jose Aldo. Absolutely. Real talk. And you know what? Even be better if Cruz Aldo was fighting for the title even. It'd be fucked up because goddamn Aljamain Sterling should get his shot at the damn title. And the reason why I say he should, because he fought Moraes, like I said earlier, but Moraes was stopped. So why can't Aljamain get his shot at the title? Should he have to fight Moraes again to get his shot at the title? I don't know, man. Or can it be Moraes and Aljamain Sterling for the title? But if I had to pick a headliner that would draw in the crowd, PPV and all that, it'll be Cruz Aldo. Real talk, it'll be Cruz Aldo all day long. OSP versus Ben will be fight of the year. Man, stop that. Now, you know, Josh, now you're getting goofy again. You know what I'm saying? Now you're getting goofy. OSP versus Ben Rockwell will be fight of the year, man. Come on, bro. And then Rockwell would go knock out Ngannou and get a little a title shot at Stipe. I don't think so. Ngannou versus Lewis rematch. Ngannou was gunshot in the first. Why not, man? Why not see Derek Lewis versus Ngannou? After this stoppage, yeah, why not see that shit? Because Stipe and DC, they pretty much have the title locked up right now. DC is not going to go off into the sunset until he steps back in there against Stipe Miocic. So therefore, Ngannou Lewis, hell yeah. Let's see that shit. Let's see that. Cruz Aldo as a main event for the title doesn't make sense. But we all know the UFC sometimes make no sense. But the names itself make sense to the butts in the seats. Both of them are credible opponents to be the main event for the bantamweight title. Why not? Moraes cannot cry foul and cry wolf and say, oh shit, I'm the last man to step in there with Cejudo who stopped me. He doesn't have a claim to fame. But then again, if I was saying that shit, I'd be contradicting myself because Cruz, he's blaming the referee. You know what I'm saying? He's blaming the referee. But Dominic Cruz has much more stock than Marlon Moraes. He's a three-time bantamweight champion. He has more stock to his brand and name. So Dominic Cruz going in there against Jose Aldo, who also was one of these WEC guys coming over here and reigning over here in the UFC. He has stock to his name too. You know, I was trying to explain to somebody, I say, man, he was reigning in WC, and then when they start cracking open divisions over here in the UFC, then the WEC, a couple of divisions had the crossover, just like Dominic Cruz fought Uriah Faber, and Uriah Faber lost to get that title back for the bantamweight division when they finally opened up the division over here. So yeah, Cruz versus Aldo, I'm advocating for that. Ben Rothwell, OSP can't believe that the co-main on Wednesday, but at least it's a fight I won't complain. Man, that's shit. Oh my God. Ben Rothwell and OSP. Damn. That's the way I feel about that fight right there. I get that feeling when you was on here talking about freaking Darren Till, make that motherfucker great again. That's the kind of feeling I get. Ben Rothwell at OSP. Aldo versus Cruz was getting the title shot before the pandemic. The stoppage was controversial with Cejudo versus Cruz. So let's see if the fight, even if it's not the title I want to see. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. Mitchell, that Mitchell kid grappling was Khabib, like, wow. Yeah, man. I kind of think, to be honest, bro, I kind of think in a certain way that Bryce Mitchell's grappling was a bit more entertaining than Khabib's, because this is what I mean by that. Bryce Mitchell is going for the finish. He's going for the finish. Khabib is trying to torture you. Khabib is trying to make you shit on yourself. When a man is punching you in the face and he's not really going for a submission yet, and he's saying, I have goals I'm trying to accomplish. I want to be champion. I want you to understand that you must quit. I'm here to make you quit. When you hear Khabib say that to his opponent while he's punching them in the face, he's trying to make them suffer. Bryce Mitchell is in there to get straight to the business. He's trying to goddamn sub him out, go home, and go on about his business. Go hunting and do what the fuck he does when he's off work. That's the difference. Both of those guys are entertaining. It's according to what you're looking at. So I'm saying to myself, like 50-50. I like what Bryce Mitchell does on the ground, and I like what Khabib does on the ground. It depended on what you're looking at. Mitchell's grappling was great in that fight. Mitchell's the future of the featherweight. He's a strong dude, man. Them country boys, man. Bryce Mitchell's a strong cat, man. Do you think there was a crowd that would have made Rosa Bryce get up because most of the fight fans was on the ground? No, because they was active, man. They was active. No way if the referee pulling them up. Because every time you turn around, Bryce Mitchell was transitioning. You know what I'm saying? He was transitioning. If he wasn't in the full mount, he was going for a sub. If he wasn't going for a sub, he was punching to the rib cage. He was doing something to stay active. So now, if the ref would have goddamn made them stand up, they probably would have heard boos raining down. I agree, but what you mean? What I mean is the constant pressure was next level. Oh, yeah, I agree, man. I agree. The pressure that Mitchell was putting on Rosa, unfucking believable. And you know what, Trucker, a lot of people would say that Khabib puts pressure on his opponents too. It's a different type of pressure, though. It's a different type of grappling. It's a different type of mindset that Khabib has vice Bryce Mitchell. Both of them have the mindset on what their objective is and where they're trying to get to. They just go about it different. Khabib, like I said, he want to constrain his opponent, limit them while he's punching you in the face. Bryce Mitchell, on the other hand, if the sub presents itself first, he will go to it. Khabib is almost like he has to soften you up. He has to introduce you to who he is. Khabib, he's almost like he wants to play around with his food a little bit while he's goddamn punching you and tossing you around in the skillet. Bryce Mitchell said, I already got you in the skillet. I'm about to cook you. Period. And I'm gonna get straight to the point. It's high heat, and I'm going for a submission. I'm going for the goddamn domination. I'm going for the control. I'm doing everything. I ain't fucking playing around. I'm not playing around with shit. I'm getting straight to the point. Khabib, he's up here playing around with his food. You know what I'm saying? It's like seeing a lion pull up and they're able to get a baby gazelle, right? And they know the gazelle cannot outrun them. So they just play around with it, swipe at it with the paw, you know, fuck it up. You know, that's what Khabib does, man. Seriously. Oh, yeah, it is levels to it, man. I agree. It's levels to it. And both Mitchell and Khabib has levels to their grappling. But they're two different type of grapplers, though. It is levels to the grappling. But you can understand that Khabib implements a lot more punches while he in the process of grappling. Bryce Mitchell, he gets straight down to the grappling. If it's a stall or time that he's idle, he'll land some punches to the ribs. You know, he'll try to soften up his opponent, but it kind of seems like he's doing that in order to get to where he wants to be for the submission. Khabib, when he's punching you in the face, it's more so to punish you and make you feel uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And to make you quit. Khabib wants to make you quit. Say, fuck it. My pleasure is for you to say, I surrender. Khabib wants you to tap out with the punches to the face. Why he has you locked up. Bryce Mitchell wants you to tap because he is basically force you to have no other recourse. He's been on you like a motherfucking wetsuit. He's giving you no other recourse to say, you know what? I can't do shit with this motherfucker. This dude done put me in 15 submissions. I can't do shit with him. You know what I'm saying? Khabib, he's up here force feeding his knuckles to an opponent to get them to say, you know what? No mas. We quit. Josh say, did you hear Mitchell when he was on top, Rosa? He said, you're not fucking trash talking now. He said something like that. Hey, man, they had some words before they stepped in the cage, as a lot of fighters. Both guys demonstrated great cardio. One demonstrated to control. One demonstrated great submission defense. Absolutely, I agree, man. That's exactly what I mentioned earlier. Give it up to Charles Rosa for his defense, man. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? He got dominated. He got taken to school. It was a clinic. It was a clinic. Let's not forget that shit Bryce Mitchell did was a clinic. But you have to commend and give a little bit of adulation to Charles Rosa for standing there and not getting subbed out. Yeah, man. Bryce Mitchell's top control, his top pressure, all that shit was on point, man. Shifting, he changed it up all the time. Mitchell isn't ranked, but potentially has the best grappling jiu-jitsu in the division. He has potential to be the best. This kid is a problem for that division. The one process that you need to also put on notice is that Bryce Mitchell is a damn good grappler, but as higher up the ladder he goes, it's gonna have to come into effect like every other grappler that steps into the cage. It's gonna be someone in that division that tests his hands and have pretty good takedown defense. So that's gonna be a period of instruction that we're gonna have to see if Bryce Mitchell passes the class. Once he runs into somebody who has very good takedown defense, A level, and respectable striking. We're gonna see how he handles that. Yep. Absolutely. I agree, man. Absolutely. Clinics, you definitely learn from that. The floating of his hips, the following him everywhere he went. He was a sight to behold. I agree, man. You ain't never lied. That shit was like a jiu-jitsu Bible that we was witnessing. That was like a jiu-jitsu sermon that was being goddamn administered by Bryce Mitchell. And he wasn't even saying too much. He was just letting his body language tell the story. You know what I'm saying? He was just in there creating a script. That shit was playing out in front of us. And I'm saying, damn, the instructional period for which he was teaching was amazing. The way he was able to fluently lock up submissions like the twister, lock freaking Charles Rosa into a twister, as technically difficult as that is. He's slick, man. For him to lock that shit up the way he was doing, he was slick. But once again, Give it up to Charles Rosa for having an answer for it. He was able to reverse a couple of them. But at the end of the second round, if it would have been 30 more seconds to that round, I think Bryce Mitchell would have subbed him out and got his second straight submission via twister. I think he would have did it. I agree with that. We can learn from defeat if we remain teachable. Sound words right there, for real. 30-24 the scorecard, straight domination. It was only one scorecard that had 30-24. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. It was only one scorecard that had 30-24. Most guys will have tapped. Rosa was getting caught in some nasty chokes. He's a black belt, and Mitchell dominated him, but respect. Just like a lot of people will understand the levels to black belts even. They're black belts that's in the game, but every type of grappler is different. We're still talking about a black belt earned under a certain professor. And also you have to look at the fighter. You know what I'm saying? This is the fight game. So you combine striking with grappling is a whole lot different. Now, of course, some of this shit will be minimized just a little bit if you're talking about straight grappling tournament. You know what I'm saying? Some of this stuff will level and even itself out. But when you're talking about combat sports, mixed martial arts, you can take a black belt BJJ practitioner and they get the brakes beat off of them and never have a chance to go to the ground. It happens all the time because the game is different. You just can't go in, just because you're Damian Maia and try to lock in a submission all the time. The game forced Damian Maia to work on his boxing. The game evolved and it forced Damian Maia to work on his boxing. And he has since improved his boxing. Does Mitchell have the nastiest twist in the UFC? We all know. Zombie can do it. But that's 2 fights in a row now. Mitchell has gone for the twister. He nearly got it. I have to say he's definitely more efficient with applying it. Like he's like FedEx versus UPS. Like Korean Zombie will put you in there, but goddamn FedEx wise, goddamn Bryce Mitchell will have that shit locked up quick. He has the package there for you. Bam. It's there, it's locked in. Hey, can you sign for this, please? Can you sign for this twister? But I didn't ask for it. It don't matter. Sign for it. I put in all this work. Sign off on this twister. I've never seen the Korean Zombie attempt and have success with a sub that many times in one fight. That sub being a twister. I've never seen it. I mean, Bryce Mitchell is the only person I've seen thus far that even come close. Who would you like to see Calvin Kattar fight next? If Essen Barbosa beats Dan and looks good at featherweight, you'd like to see Calvin Kattar versus Barbosa striking match. I mean, Kattar, Barbosa, why not? I mean, Barbosa, he still has value to the UFC. He's still a quality fighter. So why not? That'll make a good matchup. I still think Barbosa can beat Kattar. I do. I believe Essen Barbosa is still better than Calvin Kattar right now. Just a little bit. Just give him a little slight edge. Much more quicker. I mean, nobody has fast twitch kicks like Essen Barbosa when it comes to spinning heel kicks and shit. Man, I can't put Uriah Hall in the, because I'm talking about, man, Uriah Hall, he's close, but we're talking about 2 different styles of kickers. The execution of a particular discipline changes in live action as opposed to gym achievements. It does, man. And also, if you're around the same sparring partners all the time, I totally agree with that, man. Totally agree with that. Just like in boxing, like you see some people, you see some fighters is very they very productive in sparring. They look like they should be a world champion. They seem like everything that they do is by the book, high level, and they should be ranked in the top 10. But they don't shine when it's lights, camera, action. They don't perform well. The reaction and time is completely different. I totally agree with that, man. Totally agree with that, Trucker, for real. Love to see Bryce Mitchell main event caught in Arkansas when he's ranked in the featherweight division. Could you imagine the crowd would be crazy if he's a main event? No, I don't look at it like that. It depends, man, if Dana White would even consider that. But Bryce Mitchell is still building up his brand. He's not this huge superstar because he's doing what other people has done. You know what I'm saying? Look at Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira will give Bryce Mitchell the business. But I'm just saying, you talk about jujitsu practitioner. I mean, but you can be good at what you do, but are you great enough for the fans to tune in and buy a ticket to see you or buy PPV? I don't know if Bryce Mitchell is there yet. I don't know if he's there yet. Kevin Qatar doesn't deal with leg kicks well. Stevens was starting to get some leg kicks off. Esma Bosa could be bad, never mind. Yeah, I think Esma Bosa gives Qatar the business, to be honest. Styles make fights. No one expected Gaethje to dominate Ferguson like that. That being said, having to weight cut definitely showed Ferguson, slowed Ferguson down. That's what they hanging on to. But who told Ferguson? I mean, I know Ferguson was weight cutting, down to the April 18th fight. I get it. And Khabib is probably laughing his ass off because he was like, you go up here, you weight cut, you cut weight 155, and not smart for you to weight cut. The fight was called off, the virus and everything. Now you have to get another opponent and you have to weight cut it down again for Justin Gaethje. And, show up the way we used to seeing you, So, big mistake. Big drama show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't know what that's about, man. It's just fucked up that he had the weight cut twice. And if it indeed slowed him down, man, that's just messed up. But he got beat up. His ego got the best of Ferguson. He went against the grain and it cost him. Ferguson wasn't even trying to be different in the right way. Like Ferguson was just trying to pull out every motherfucking Halloween trick he could to kind of scare and get the respect of Gaethje. But he couldn't get the data. He couldn't get the feedback he was looking for. Gaethje wasn't scared of none of the shit he was doing. Now, I must say it was gangster when he did that sweep. You know what I'm saying? Not too many people has pulled that off, but he was able to get it done. That just goes to show you Ferguson is a high-level creator. Seriously. Real talk. Cavalcade Talk will probably be the main event night. Qatar surprised me with Chris striking against Stevenson. Man, he worked that knockout real nice, man. Went up to when he delivered that elbow. It was real nice. I had to give him his respect for that. But hey, that's all I got the bounce. I don't know what's going on, but it's been a pleasure, fellas. Till next time, salute. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and pass the word. It's been a pleasure with the UFC 249 fight recap, y'all. And until next time, I'll probably be on here to kind of brief the fights that's taking place with the UFC, since they're the only ones on deck that's putting on these fight cards down in Jacksonville, Florida. I look forward to the next one. The fight card is not going to be as heavy as the UFC 249 was, but you had to have something to get the interest of the fight fans to tune in for the PPV. So now, you got the attention of some of the fans that were mixed martial arts fans and also some boxing fans. So the numbers did pretty good for what I'm hearing. The numbers did pretty well. But Fat Daddy, appreciate you stopping through, man. Josh Talks UFC. I got to roll. I definitely got to roll, man. I've been over here 2.5 hours already, which goes quick when you're talking about damn solid talking points. You know what I'm saying? So y'all be easy, man. Salute to you. Until next time.